What is up, guys? New York Sports up here, and I'm back at it with another video about the NFC East. I'm going to be doing a video about ranking quarterbacks worst to best in the NFC East, who I think is the worst, who I think is the best, and then in between. And I might get a lot of hate for this video, so, there might be some Cowboys, some Cowboys, some Eagles, some Redskins fans in the comments below. You have to say I'm disrespecting their quarterback. Hey, this is just my opinion, and this is going to be an unbiased ranking, so no, Daniel Jones bias because he's on the Giants. There's going to be no bias on this list. So we're going to start off with the worst quarterback in my division, and in the division, and I think it is Dwayne Haskins. Now, Dwayne Haskins played the least amount of games as any quarterback did in the NFC East, and he only played 7 games, I believe. And in my opinion, Dwayne Haskins was not very good. I didn't think he performed very well, and he didn't have that much touchdowns. I think he might have only had 7 touchdowns. And Dwayne Haskins, in my opinion, was one of the more disappointing rookie quarterbacks in the league, and I did not think Dwayne Haskins performed very well. I think Dwayne Haskins is a very good mobile quarterback. I think he can move around field pretty well, and I think he's got good arm strength. But besides that, I'm not a big fan of him. And I was a very, very big fan of Dwayne Haskins out of college. I thought the Giants were going to draft Dwayne Haskins, and I'm very, very happy they didn't, because Dwayne Haskins has not looked good in the NFL so far. And I think one of the main reasons why the Redskins were not very good last year is because of him. And Dwayne Haskins did not play very well. You could argue Case Keenum earned the job of the starting quarterback last year over Dwayne Haskins. I did not think Dwayne Haskins played very well. He didn't have the greatest offensive pieces around him. He didn't really have a great O-line. Brandon Scherf's decent on the offensive line, but the offensive line of the Redskins isn't great. They didn't really have a good running back. Adrian Peterson was okay. Darius Geis didn't play the whole season due to injuries, and they only really had Terry McLaurin as an offensive weapon. They never really had a tight end. Ever since Jordan Reed, the Redskins have not had a good tight end, and, that definitely could have affected him, but in my opinion, I did not think Dwayne Haskins played very well. He had a decent amount of interceptions. I just think Dwayne Haskins is kind of the new Jameis Winston. I think he's a guy who might throw a decent amount of touchdowns, but might also throw a ton of interceptions, because that's what Jameis Winston did last year. I think he might have broke a record for interceptions, because Jameis Winston, I think he's a pretty good quarterback, but once again, he throws so many interceptions, and I think that's what Dwayne Haskins will do. I do think Dwayne Haskins has talent. I do think he'll play better next year, but I still think Dwayne Haskins is the worst quarterback in the division, mainly because I just did not like the level Dwayne Haskins performed last year, and I still don't think the Redskins are a great team. Although the Redskins did improve their defensive line, I still don't think the Redskins are a great team. I think they're the last place team in this division, and I think Dwayne Haskins is the worst quarterback in this division. So coming in at third place, a lot of Giants fans might disagree with me here, but I'm going to go with Daniel Jones. Now, the second place quarterback I think he's one of the more overrated quarterbacks in the league, but he has still done a lot more than Daniel Jones has, and Daniel Jones has a bad fumbling problem. Now, fumbling is definitely something that he can definitely fix in the offseason. He said that fumbling is his main priority to fix in the offseason, which is very, very good, and he really struggled with it last year. That's probably because his offensive line was absolutely atrocious, and, his defense really didn't help him out either. So, once again, it definitely could have gone off the offensive line, and it could have been, it mostly was their fault, but Daniel Jones still fumbled a lot, and he could not hold on to the ball very well, and that was definitely his main issue. But besides that, Daniel Jones had a fantastic rookie season. He can mobile, he ran really well, he threw a lot of touchdowns, he did not throw a lot of interceptions, he only had 12, I think, 24 total touchdowns. That's double the amount of, double the amount of touchdowns he throws from interceptions, which is absolutely fantastic. Daniel Jones had a really, really good rookie season, but he still didn't have a great record, a 3-9 record, and that was probably mainly because he didn't have a healthy team. He didn't have a healthy Saquon Barkley. He didn't have a healthy Evan Ingram. He didn't have a healthy, he missed the first 4 games of Golden Tate. He did not have a healthy Sterling Shepard. A lot of, offensive weapons on the Giants weren't really healthy, so that definitely could have affected his rookie year as well. But I would put Daniel Jones, I think after 2020, after next year, I think Daniel Jones can move up to the second place, maybe even first place, you never know. Because I think Daniel Jones can be the best quarterback in this division in a couple years. I think he's really, really good. I think he's really, really talented. I love Daniel Jones. He's one of my favorite Giants players, if not my favorite, besides Saquon Barkley. And I think he's a fantastic quarterback. I just think he'd, not fumble the ball as much. That's what Lamar Jackson did. Lamar Jackson fumbled a lot in his rookie year and came back the next year, was absolutely unbelievable. He won the MVP. So, I think it's something Daniel Jones can easily fix. So, I think if Daniel Jones can fix the fumbling and, kind of build a better team, I think Daniel Jones can move up to second or maybe even first. But I'm going to keep him at third, mainly because he's only a rookie and he has not played a full season yet, and because, he hasn't had any playoff games yet. So that's why I have Daniel Jones at third. Coming in at second place, I've got Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's overrated. Dak Prescott has been surrounded by a great offensive line, although he doesn't have Travis Frederick anymore. He still has Zach Martin on that Cowboys offensive line. He has Ezekiel Elliott, one of the best running backs in the National Football League. He has a great receiving core, and now it's even better this year, with drafting CeeDee Lamb. He has Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup, and Blake Jarwin. He has a lot of really good, weapons on that team to throw to. A lot of other quarterbacks, like AKA the first place quarterback I have, which we already know who it is, but I'm not going to give it away yet. But the first place quarterback did not have a lot of weapons that Dak Prescott has. And personally, Dak Prescott only really played well against the bad teams. When it came down to Dak Prescott playing against the really good teams, Dak Prescott did not play well. Now, Dak Prescott did lose to the Jets, which was embarrassing. I mean, how do you lose a game to the Jets? I think the Jets were, undefeated. Well, I don't think the Jets even won a game, and then they came back and won their first game against the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys were 3-2, and then they were down to 3-3. I think they started 3-0, and then moved down to 3-3 because they lost to the Jets. And then, ever since the loss to the Jets, the Cowboys weren't really the same, and they had a really disappointing season. The Cowboys were my pick to win the division last year, and they didn't. They won 8-8, and they were one of the more disappointing teams in the NFL. And personally, I didn't think the Cowboys got too much better. I mean, they didn't have I thought they had a good draft with, getting CeeDee Lamb, which was a steal in the first round, but they still didn't get enough defensive pieces, in my opinion, to win this division. Now, the Cowboys, they traded Byron Jones to the Dolphins. The Cowboys still have DeMarcus Lawrence and, Van Der Esch. They still have some decent guys on the defense. They have Jalen Smith, but I'm still not a big fan of their defense. I think they have a weak secondary. I'm not a big fan of Dallas overall, and I'm not a big fan of Dak Prescott. He's an overrated quarterback. He's been surrounded by a great offensive line, a great running back, a lot of good wide receivers. I don't think Dak Prescott's as good as his numbers show, so I think Dak Prescott is the second best quarterback in this division. He might move down to third, maybe even fourth in a couple years. And coming in as the best quarterback, in my opinion, in the NFC East is Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz has arguably been not been the most winningest quarterback. Carson Wentz has never really played a playoff game before, and Dak Prescott has. But Carson Wentz is still a better quarterback than Dak Prescott, in my opinion, because I think he's a lot more consistent. He has not had an elite receiver on his team. Alshon Jeffrey's a decent receiver, but he's had receivers that drop a lot of balls, aka Nelson Aguilar, who, dropped everything. I mean, that guy was terrible. But he's never really had a really great receiver, and Carson Wentz has been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC. I think he's a top 10 quarterback, in my opinion, although I think Dak Prescott probably is too. I think Carson Wentz probably is a top 10 quarterback in this league. I think he's really good. He's a really consistent quarterback. He does fumble a lot, but I think Carson Wentz is a really, really, really good quarterback. And I'm not saying he came out of North Dakota. North Dakota is not really a popular college for quarterbacks, for really good players. And Carson Wentz has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He almost won the MVP in 2017. If he never got injured in that game against the Rams, Carson Wentz would have won MVP. So, he kind of got robbed of an MVP there back in 2017. Carson Wentz is a really, really good quarterback, in my opinion. Although I did think he digressed last year. I thought Carson Wentz was a little bit disappointing. Last year, he only led the Eagles to 9 wins. I thought the Eagles would win more games than that. But once again, he still does not have an elite wide receiver. He doesn't have a number 1 receiver. And he only really has Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is really his only target that he can really target, because Zach Ertz is really the only good receiver on that team. Although he's a tight end, he's really the only good guy he can throw to on that team. So you gotta give Carson Wentz some leeway for that. So I think Carson Wentz is the best quarterback in this division. Put your thoughts down in the comments below about the video. Do you think Carson Wentz is the best quarterback? Do you think it's Prescott? Do you think it's Jones? I don't know how you could say it is, or do you think it's Haskins? Who it's definitely not. But who do you think is the best quarterback in this division down below? I can definitely see why you would say Dak Prescott. I just completely disagree. Carson Wentz is the better quarterback, in my opinion, because he has never really had a number 1 wide receiver to throw to. Dak Prescott has. He arguably has 2, with Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup. And he has CeeDee Lamb now. Carson Wentz has never really had a number 1 receiver. I'm not a big fan of Jalen Reagor. I don't think he's a good receiver. I'm not a big fan of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I don't think he's a good receiver either. So he's never really had a great receiver on that team, to throw to. He's never really had, that one reliable wide receiver he always wants to throw to. He's trust him to catch the ball. He doesn't really have one of those, because the Eagles have a lot of receivers who drop the ball a lot, like Nelson Aguilar and Alshon Jeffrey and all that stuff. So personally, I'm not a big fan of the Eagles receiving core. I think it's bad, so that's why I think Carson Wentz is the best quarterback, because I think he's played the best, and I think he deserves some leeway because he has not had any number 1 wide receivers. So that's why I think Carson Wentz is the best quarterback in this division. So put it down in the comments below. who you think is the best quarterback in the NFC East. I think it's Carson Wentz. Who do you think it is? Put it down in the comments below. And what are your thoughts on the offseason for each team? If you're an Eagles fan, what are your thoughts on your offseason? If you're a Cowboys fan, Giants or Redskins fan, what are your thoughts on your offseason? Put it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions on your teams going into the season. Do you think the quarterback on your favorite team is the best quarterback in this division? Put it down in the comments below. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.